This week we're going to take an ingredient and we're going to see how many meals we can make using that specific ingredient. And the ingredient we're going to use is the humble tinned potato. So I normally store a few tins of potatoes in the cupboard. They're great to have as a backup. They've got a really long shelf life on them and they're just a fantastic ingredient just to have on standby. I do use them in a few recipes, so that gives me a head start on this challenge. But I am aiming to make 7 meals using the humble tinned potato. So just going to get us to think outside the box, have a bit of fun. So I think the first meal we're going to make is a potato curry. Let's jump straight in. I hope you can stay through the whole of this video. Check out, I've got 7 exciting recipes to make. Some you may not have heard of or thought of before. Others you might jump in the comments and tell me that you make it all the time, or you're going to try it with tinned potatoes instead of your standard potato. Let's go. Right, so the first meal out of the 7 I'm going to be doing on this tinned potato challenge is going to be a tinned potato curry, or an aloo curry. The ingredients we've got are tinned potatoes, turmeric, cumin, coconut milk, garam masala, a couple of red chilies, coriander and an onion. Let's get on, make the curry, and then I'll talk to you about some of the optional extras you can put into this recipe while we go. So we actually only need half this onion. So I'll save the other half for a different recipe. I'm just going to dice this onion up. Next I'm going to dice up the chilies. You can use spicier chilies if you wish. These are medium to mild. So the first thing we're going to do is heat up a little bit of oil in the pan. I actually forgot to mention that we do need a clove of garlic for this recipe as well. So I'll just get on and sort that out now. Just going to mash the garlic up on my little grinder. Just going to add the onion to the pan, along with the garlic. Then we're going to add a pinch of salt. While the onions are doing, I'm just going to take some of the larger potatoes, I'm just going to halve them. The smaller ones are okay. So the benefit of having tinned potatoes is they're already pre-cooked and they only need warming up. They're pre-peeled, pre-prepared. And obviously I've mentioned in numerous videos, it's a really good shelf-stable product to have in the cupboards. And there's plenty of recipes as we'll go through that you can make using tinned potatoes. I'm going to turn that down a minute, and then we're going to add 1 teaspoon of turmeric. We'll have to use half teaspoons on these because they don't fit in the jar. But 1 teaspoon of turmeric, 1 teaspoon of cumin, and 1 teaspoon of garam masala. Start frying down those spices. Just going to roughly chop the coriander, also known as cilantro, I think, for the Americans, and that's all going to go in with the herbs and spices. In with the chili, and finally the potatoes. We want to get these potatoes covered in all the spices and flavours. Let that fry for a minute. And finally we're going to add the can of coconut milk. Mix that through. And then leave that for 5 to 10 minutes on a medium heat. It reduces down and thickens up. Right, so it's thickened up really nicely now. I do like my curry nice and thick. And I'm going to add in a load of spinach. Just because I like to get extra veg in when I'm cooking my meals. You can add all sorts to this. There's lots of options when cooking this. You can add chickpeas if you want to bulk it out and make it into a bigger curry for more people. I chose to put some chopped spinach in there at the last minute just to add that extra bit of green to it. You could put cauliflower in there. Yeah, lots of options. Little optional extra which I like to do right at the end, just because I feel like it really brings out the flavour, is to add a little bit of lemon juice, just a tad. Just mix that through and we'll get this served up onto some rice. So we've got 2 large bowls of pilau rice, and then on top of that we'll add our potato curry. We've got 2 generous portions, and I've got leftovers for lunch tomorrow as well. Let's give it a taste. Delicious. Slightly on the spicy side because of the chilies. Even though it said they were mild, they've still got a little slight kick to them. But there you go, there's a nice easy way of using up tin potatoes. If you tried using tin potatoes in a curry before, or you've got another recipe you want me to try, let me know in the comments. That's the first one done anyway. Happy with that. Nice tasty curry. I'm going to get Vicky hers for her dinner, and then I'm going to get on and make a sausage and tin potato bake for the kids. For our second dish in the tin potato challenge, we're going to make a sausage and potato bake. This has only got 4 ingredients with a bit of seasoning. Makes a really nice, simple, easy dish. So for this recipe, we're just going to use the tin of new potatoes, which I'm going to drain off. 6 sausages. I've gone for some flavoured West Country cheddar and bacon. A tin of baked beans, some cheese, and a casserole dish, which I'll sort out in a minute. First things first, I'm going to stick these sausages in the air fryer because we want them mostly cooked and they can finish cooking off in the oven. But I want them so I can slice them. So I'm going to go ahead and put these into the air fryer. We'll just pop them in for 10 minutes. Right, so they were in the air fryer. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to slice them into 3 sections each. Create the first layer for the sausages on the bottom of the pan. Then we got the tin potatoes drained off, and we're just going to slice them as well. Meanwhile, I've got the oven preheating. A layer of potatoes in. Then we've got some baked beans. We're going to add them over the top. Roughly half the can. And at this point, I've grated the cheese. At this point, I've grated 100 grams of cheese. I actually do like to put a little bit of the cheese in the layer. And as an optional, you can put in some paprika. I actually do like having a little bit of smoked paprika in it. And then another layer of the sausage. Back with the potato layer. So you can make this with normal potatoes. You can just part cook them. But the whole point of the this version is to use tinned potatoes. There we go, that's another layer. Some more baked beans. This will be the last layer of the beans. Put a bit more of that cheese over the top. Then finally, we're going to put the last of the sausages, covering them with potato. Put a little bit of cracked black pepper over the top of this layer. And then the rest of the cheese, and then we're going to put it in the oven. No such thing as too much cheese. Right, there's the layered sausage, potato and beans for the sausage and potato bake. And we're going to stick that in the oven for 20-25 minutes. There we have the bake out the oven. It's got a nice crispy cheese top to it. I'm just going to take a portion and serve it up. So this will serve 2 to 3 people. Right, let's give this a taste test. I'm going to take a cheesy bit of potato on a bit of this sausage here. That's delicious. That's definitely one of my favourites. And the sausages are really nice anyway because they've got quite a nice flavour to them. The potatoes go really well in the bake. Full of beans and nice flavours and cheesiness. It's just really hearty, delicious meal. That's the second of the tin potato recipes done this week. So the kids have got this. I've just done a curry as well. Tomorrow I've got a couple more up my sleeve. I'm going to make some homemade fish cakes using the tinned potatoes. I'm going to try and use tinned tuna as well, just to keep along the lines of tinned products. And I have to refilm a corned beef hash because I actually did that as the first video, if I'm totally honest with you, and I deleted the recording. I don't know why I've done it. Absolute idiot, but there we go. So that'll be another one. And then I've got a couple more left to go after that. Right, I'm refilming the corned beef hash because I deleted the footage. This is a really simple recipe. So this is going to be the third one of the challenge. Using tin potatoes, a tin of corned beef, an onion, some garlic, and then you can add whatever you like to it after you finish cooking. For example, I like a fried egg with a runny yolk. Sometimes I'll chuck a bit of cheese on top, and you can even add some greens. When I say greens, you can add, you've got options. You can add fresh spring greens. That's quite nice over the top. You can add just frozen veg. When I make this for the kids, especially Shy likes it, I always make it with frozen veg and I chuck an egg on top is basically what I'm getting at. But today I'm fancying some spring onions because I've got some I want to use up, and I'm fancying a little bit of grated cheese and the fried egg because I'm hungry and that's what I want. Yeah. Right, so I've roughly chopped up the onion. I'm just going to take the skin off the garlic, and then I'm going to use you're going to see this a lot because I'm really amused by it from Lanzarote. So it's going to be present in a lot of videos until I forget it or get bored of it. But I just love the novelty of it. Basically, you just rub it over the top. Like so. The only issue I've found is it gets stuck. So let's just finish it and I'll show you what I mean. Right, so I've mashed it all in. And the best way to get it out is to add a little bit of water when you swish it around. I'm using a big pan because I want a lot of space, a lot of area coverage, so that when I want it to crisp up, I've got lots of the contents touching the pan, if that makes sense. So I'm going to chuck in the onions and the garlic. I'm going to drain off these potatoes. and then we're going to dice them. So I'm just going to go along the middle. Like so. Now the beauty of corned beef hash is you can make the cubed potatoes as big or as small as you like. You don't have to have symmetric, perfect cut potatoes. And the same goes with the corned beef. You can just chop it how you want to have it. Give those onions and garlic a stir. Well, I'm going to chuck the potatoes in with the onions. Not going to add salt because corned beef's really salty. I can always add some at the end, but I am going to give it a really good amount of I always say it wrong. Cracked black pepper. Jeez. And then I'm going to go ahead and chuck in some smoked paprika. Because I love it. Also, someone in the comment section told me they love smoked paprika as much as I do. So there are people out there who eat it all the time, just like me. Plus it goes a lovely colour as well. Right, enough waffling. Let's get the corned beef. So I'll just show you on the video, because there are people out there who's never done this before. But when you want to open the corned beef, it comes with a little key. And then you just push it across the metal bit like so. And then you're twisting it around. And then you just twist the key all the way around. You can use a tin opener. I know some people prefer to use a tin opener, but these keys work perfectly. And then you just take the lid up. And out comes the corned beef. Now with the corned beef, again, you can just chop it however you like. I'm just going to chop it into pieces. The way I cook my corned beef hash is ultra crispy. So a lot of this will just disintegrate anyway. But while I throw it in, I'm just going to chop it into cubes. You'll see what I mean about it mashing in as it cooks. Right, just going to add the corned beef. Leave that for 10 minutes and I'm not going to stir it too much because I want it to start crisping at the bottom. As you can see, it's starting to crisp up now. So about another 5 minutes, and in the meantime, I'm just going to fry an egg and I'm gonna chop up some spring onions. Get a lot of comments saying to replant the end of your spring onion. I have been doing that. You might not just see it in the video because I'm busy filming other bits, but that's a great tip I have been taking on board. I do get quite a lot of comments. I think it's quite a common thing for people to do. So you basically cut the root end off of your spring onion and you put it back into soil and then it grows again, which is pretty cool. So you basically take it as far as you want when it comes to how crispy. I like mine really crispy and darkened. So I leave it in for a good 15-20 minutes frying. You can see the crispy bits there, look. So we go corned beef hash. Oh, by the way, whoever mentioned, I can't remember who it was to thank you on the channel, but I bought some discounted GU cheesecake puddings I got them from the co-op, but they come in these little glass jars. I think it's pronounced GU or GU, but anyway, they said if you save a Pringle lid, it fits directly on the top of the glass jars. Absolute legend, thank you for that. I've been keeping my glass jars and buy more cheesecakes if I'm honest, so that I can make little jars with the Pringle lids. Anyway, stick a little bit of cheese over the top, and now I can store my cheese in these little containers. Then we're going to do a handful of spring onions, And then to go with that, I'm going to do a fried egg with a runny yolk. And there we have corned beef hash using tin potatoes, a tin of corned beef, spring onions, cheese. We've got some paprika in there, some pepper. You really don't need to salt it. It's salty enough. And a fried egg with a runny yolk on top. Let's give it a taste test. It's one of my favourite dinners. Absolutely delicious. Like I said, you can make it as crispy or you don't know. You can make it crispier if you want to, or less crispy. I just prefer mine with a real crispiness to it. I'm going to enjoy this. Tomorrow morning we're going to make a Spanish style tortilla, which is like a Spanish omelette with potatoes. That's going to be breakfast, and then I've got a few recipes lined up. A lot of tin potatoes in one day tomorrow. Right, for the next meal in the new potato challenge, we're going to make some crispy roast potato using the tin potatoes. I'm just going to add a bit of flour, oil and some seasoning, and we're going to stick them in the air fryer. First things first, we need to drain the potatoes. So let's drain the potatoes, just going to add them to a bowl. Next we're going to add the flour. I'm just using plain flour. You can use your hands or you can use a spoon if you don't want to get your hand involved. A little bit of oil. And next we're going to add the turmeric and the paprika. Give that a stir. And we're just going to chuck them in the air fryer for 20 minutes. And see how crispy they get. Right, so I'm serving mine up with a steak pie, some peas, and there we go. After 20 minutes in the air fryer, you get a really crispy roast potato. Fluffy on the inside. Not as fluffy as your normal potato, let's be honest, but we are playing with tin potatoes. But I really am happy with the way these crisp up in the air fryer. So you've always got some cheap, quick potatoes stored with a long shelf life. I picked these ones up recently and the use by dates 2027, so 2 years these can sit in your cupboard as a backup. You fancy doing a roast dinner but you don't want to run down to the shops, you've got roast potatoes at hand. Let's give them a taste test. Really tasty, nice crispy outer shell, perfect. So the next meal we're going to make using tin potatoes is tortilla de patatas, which is a Spanish style tortilla. The only ingredients that we need for this recipe are going to be a tin of new potatoes, 1 onion and 5 eggs, plus a little bit of seasoning and some spices, but we'll get to that in a minute. First things first, we need to slice up the onion and slice up the potatoes. Actually, while I'm doing that, I could be draining off the potatoes. So we'll do the potato, drain the potatoes and do the onion first. So when we slice them, we don't want them diced, we just want thin slices of onion, and we're going to go against the grain. So that's the onions done. Next we're going to slice the potatoes. And we want these potatoes sliced really thin. We're talking like that thin, if possible. I'll get on and get them done. Now that we've got the potatoes all sliced up, we're going to add some olive oil to a pan. Get that nice and hot. So we're going to add the onions and the potatoes all at the same time. And start frying them down. We're going to add some black pepper, tiniest amount of cayenne pepper just to give it a little bit of a spice kick. And I say tiny because I'm using cayenne chili pepper, which is hot. And a generous pinch of salt. And we'll allow that to fry down for 10 minutes. While this is cooking down, getting a little bit of crisp on it, a little bit of golden. You can take it as far as you want. Some of the recipes I've been watching, you crisp it up very brown. Others, you barely crisp it at all. But we're just going to go for a middle ground. And while we're doing that, we're just going to do the eggs. So I've got 5 eggs. Just going to crack them all in here. Like so. And then we're going to whisk the eggs, because we don't want any white bits. We want it, none of it separated, we want it all whisked together. That'll do. Right, I'm happy with how far the potatoes and the onion have cooked, you can see in the pan. And what we're going to do is going to add them directly to the egg. I'm going to mix that around thoroughly, making sure everything's coated. Now in some recipes it says you can put that straight in the pan, in other recipes it says leave it for 5 minutes. So I'm just going to leave it for 5 minutes before we put it into a smaller pan. Right, we're transferring to a smaller pan because I want this to be quite thick. Just going to add the whole contents. Going to spread the potatoes out evenly. Going to leave that for 5 minutes. We want it quite brown on the first side, and then we're going to flip it over. Right, right. So I'm not going to try and flip this unless you can tell me in the comments a way to do it. But as you can see, it's pretty much cooked on the bottom. So it's now going to go underneath the grill for a bit. And there we have the tortilla de patatas. I'm just cutting it into little slices. This is fresh out of the grill. So I grilled it on one side and then I just cooked it on the other. Might make it into smaller portions, to be honest. But that's what it looks like. Let's give it a taste test while it's hot. That's seriously tasty. I had these in Lanzarote. They were served at breakfast. They were served at lunchtime. They were also served as a snack with a bit of bread on a catamaran. You can have these hot out straight away from being cooked like this. The kids are going to have it with a bit of ketchup because that's what they were doing with it on holiday. Or you can let it cool down and have it with your lunch. You can almost treat this a bit like a quiche. But yeah, delicious. Really worth making. It's great to know that it's another recipe you can use using tin potatoes. I'm going to get back to you this afternoon when we're going to make some soup. So the next meal we're going to make in this challenge is going to be a creamy potato and leek soup. So we've got the new potato. So we've got the tin of new potatoes. I've got some butter, an onion, a leek, a vegetable stock cube, and some milk. And we're going to put a little bit of seasoning in it. So a little bit of salt and pepper. First things first, we're just going to chop up the leek and onion. I like this recipe because it's so quick and easy. I will be doing a new series on the channel in the autumn and winter, which is going to be soup of the week. We will come back and probably do this soup again, but I might make it a little, like, zhuzh it up a little bit. We might try, because I quite like potato and Stilton, so we can always add a bit of Stilton in. But anyway, yeah, this series will be out in the next few weeks. Get more content on the channel where every Wednesday I'm going to make a soup. So any recipes you want to chuck in for your favourite soup in the comments would be fantastic. I have got a couple of soup recipe books I want to work from. I've got a couple of my own favourites I want to share with you guys. And I'm going to do a little bit of Google investigation. But the idea is all the way through the colder months, we're going to have a soup on a Wednesday. I'm going to make it, share it, and rate it for you guys. I get to have lovely soup every week. Right, that's the onion done. Just going to take off the end of the leek. I don't need to use this whole leek. This is a chimichanga of a leek. So I'm going to take the middle out. I'm going to use that for a different recipe. Slice it in half. Slice it again. And then thinly slice it. It doesn't matter how chunky it is, to be fair, because it's all going to be blended to make a creamy soup anyway. So there's our leeks and onion. Going to take a little bit of butter. This is the one thing I do splash out a bit of money on. I do like my butter, and this is a really nice one. This is I think it's like £2.20. This is Aldi's Deluxe West Country butter with salt crystals. I love salty butter. I love a good quality butter. I will use margarine when it's necessary, or lard or dripping, but if I'm going to have butter, I'm going to have a nice butter. And this is a big old slab of butter in there. So I'm going to make this up, and this is technically going to be a starter today. I've got one more recipe I want to make, and that's going to be fish cakes. So I'm going to do this, have this, and then get back in the kitchen, and we're going to have fish cakes. Right, while that butter's melting down, I'm just going to open up the tin of potatoes. Going to add the onions and the leeks to the butter, and we're going to fry them. While the leeks and onions are frying down, I'm just going to add 300 mils of water to the stock cube. You can use your own stock, but I'm just using stock cube because it's the whole point of this series is quick and easy, convenient recipes using tin potatoes. Right, now the leeks and the onions have started to sweat down a little bit. We're going to add the tin potatoes. So just going to chuck them in whole. You can mash them down with a fork if you want, or the spoon, or you can just leave them as they are. I'm just going to crush them a little bit, just because it's easier to stir them then. Then I'm going to add some black pepper. Next we're going to add the stock cube in 300 mils of water, and then 300 mils of milk. Someone keeps telling me to move this that way. Purely out of concern, because they don't want me to knock it over. I am trying to be a bit more conscious of it, because I always have it jutting out, and one day I am going to have that accident. But to the person who told me that, thank you very much for looking out for me. I appreciate people commenting with concern. It's a wonderful part of this community. Very positive community. Right, I'm going to leave that for 10 minutes and then I'll get back to you. So it's been simmering, bubbling away for 10 minutes. I am going to blend this up, but one of the things I learned the hard way, and a lot of people pointed out, was the reason in a previous video is if you don't let it cool down enough, when you put it in a blender, the pressure can make it explode out the top, which is dangerous, get burnt, and other than that you get really messy. So what we do is we leave that to the side. That can come off the heat, and then we let that cool down, and in the meantime I'm going to crack on and make some fish cakes. For our final recipe this week, we're going to make some fish cakes. While the potatoes cooling down, I thought we'd just get on with this. For this recipe you need 100 grams of bread, 1 egg, 30 to 40 grams of cheese, some flour which you're going to use for dusting, a tin of new potatoes, a tin of tuna chunks in spring water, some sweet corn and some English mustard. I'm also going to add in a spring onion, which is completely optional. I just like it in the fish cakes. So the first thing we're going to do to start the recipe off is we're going to actually wet the bread. So we wet the bread, and then we squeeze off the excess water. So we're just going to scrunch this bread up. So it's moist where we've run it under the tap, but it's not sodding wet, so you can see you want it like that. Next, you scrunch in the potatoes. So if you're going to use normal potatoes which you've cooked, you can just mash them in. Because we're using tinned potatoes, I'm actually going to take the time just to grate them in as I go. Just going to repeat that with all the potatoes from the tin. So that's the last of the potatoes grated. And then we're going to add to that the cheese. This is actually a really simple, easy way to make fish cakes. No faffing around, it's all just getting chucked in as we go. Next up, we're going to put in the mustard. So we want a heaped teaspoon of English mustard on a whole egg. Now, I don't have a lemon to grate, so I'm just going to add a dash of lemon juice into the mix. So we've got the bread, the potato grated, the mustard, the egg, the cheese, and we're going to mix that all together with a little bit of the lemon. Can add in grated lemon zest, but I'm just working with what I've got in the kitchen. And we're going to mash that all together, mix it up. Right, next step, we're going to take the sweet corn and we're going to take the tuna. The first thing we're going to do is drain off the tuna. I'm going to use 200 grams of this 300 gram sweet corn for those who are following along the recipe. Got a pan heating up on the stove. I'm going to add the drained tuna and a load of the sweet corn. And then we're just going to fold that through. And then we're going to make this mixture into 8 fish cakes. You can make them smaller if you wish to. Now I've got them roughly into equal sized portions. So you could breadcrumb these if you wanted to, and I do have some Peco breadcrumbs in the cupboard from making katsu curry, but we're just going to do it this way today just to keep it simplified. Take some flour and we're just going to dust the top of them. Turn them over, give them another dusting. Add some olive oil to the heated pan and then we're going to cook them 4 at a time. Right, so they've been cooking about 7 minutes on each side, and we're just going to serve 2 of these up like so. I'm just serving them on a bed of salad. I've got some fresh tomatoes from the garden, some spinach, and I'm just going to put a little bit of sweet chilli Thai style sauce on it because that always goes well with fish cakes. Let's give this fish cake a try, shall we? That's really tasty. Nice crispy outside to it, nice flavour. I like tuna in fish cakes. It's not something I have very often. I usually just have tuna for tuna salad. So that's a nice way of using tuna, and it's a great way of using up tin potatoes. It goes really nice with the spinach and the tomato. I'm just really enjoying this one. This is a really nice dinner. I've got enough for all 4 of us as well. So 1 tin of potatoes, 1 tin of tuna, most of a tin of sweet corn, and it does a meal for 4. That's the final recipe for the week on the budget challenge. I've had a lot of fun working with tin potatoes. I think there's scope for using different tin products and seeing what meals we can make. This pretty much came about off the back of the chili con carne, made into 8 different meals. Subsequently, in the comments, I probably got enough to do another 2 rounds of that. I think there's about 20 meals you can make from chili con carne. If you can think of some other meals to use tin potatoes, please jump in the comments, let me know. I make a note of all of the different recipes I'm given, tips and ideas. It was a fun week. And next week, I'll be doing round 2, so week 2 of the World War II challenge. I've been saying it for a while. I'm back off holiday. I'm eager and ready to go. So that'll be the challenge coming up next. And then after that, I'm going to do another batch cooking, but I think we're going to skip meat, go vegetarian. I might even push it to vegan. I haven't decided. But what I have decided and what you will be getting is, like I said in the video, you'll be getting an extra video every week coming up from end of September through till February, March, where we're going to do soup of the week. So if you want to jump in the comments, give me some soup recipe ideas, that'll be amazing. I have got quite a few. I've been making a list and then we'll work from there. You will be getting a challenge every week now up till Christmas, and then I'll give myself Christmas off. So I think that works out about another 14 challenges this year. I'm going full on. I had my holiday, I had my rest. I'm eager to get on, knock out some of these challenges. You're still going to get the allotment updates with the veg growing. I've got some stuff going in ready for winter, because winter you don't have to shut your allotment down completely. There's projects to be done. There's stuff to be grown. So there's that coming up as well. And then every Friday, if you don't see one of these recipes being posted up, because I have recorded these separately just as extra content on the channel for people to reference, there'll be other budget recipes, takeaway cheats, so recipes you can make at home to save money on takeaways, and just experimenting and fun. So that's 4 lots of content in a run up to Christmas, and then I'll decide what I'm doing after that. But that's what's guaranteed on the channel. Thank you so much for the community. It's building. Everyone's so friendly. Everyone's so positive. I just appreciate you all. You can support this channel by just clicking like, jumping in the comments. That really helps. I did get notified that there is another thing where you can boost the channel. I think they call it hype. So you can hype a video if you really enjoy it, and it just sends something out to the algorithm just to say to YouTube, this one's really been enjoyed. You can join as a member. You can check out my Patreon. I have a weekly waffling of the week. So technically it's 5 bits of content, but 4 is for everyone and 1 specifically for members as a thank you. That's just me in the van. I don't tend to edit that whatsoever. I tend to just waffle on, chatting about current things going on, ideas, plans, what's going on in my head, what I've been up to, what I've been watching, reading, all sorts of stuff. Just me waffling on whilst driving around. So that's every week. If you want to join Patreon or the YouTube members, you get that. Plus you get access to like holiday videos, which I primarily film as family memories, but I'm quite happy to share them up on the channel with members. Enough said. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll hopefully see you in the next one. Bye bye.